Krishna, Prabhuji's, Mataji's, Dandas. Are you able to hear me?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Pranams
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna Prabhuji. Pranams Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare, Hare Krishna, Dandas. Hare Krishna, Dandas. 1 second. Let me know if you have any disturbance in hearing me. Okay, then I can shift the position in case of network connectivity issues. So we'll start with the prayers. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudiraye nashtapraeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavatir uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naistiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya cha Nandagopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Urmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Prabhuji's Mataji's welcome you all to this morning's discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam. So as part of this chapter, we have been discussing the great lineage, the descendants coming from King Priyavrat, who himself is one of the initial children coming from Lord Brahma, one of the Prajapatis. And there are glorious descendants including Maharaj Rishabdev, King Bharat, so on and so forth. So currently we are discussing the glorious character of King Gaya, how he was the most virtuous king, following all religious principles and a great devotee of the Lord. And yesterday specifically we discussed about how in his day-to-day running of the duties, affairs of the kingdom, he always consulted the qualified brahmanas. And we also discussed that how the blessings of these authorities are very, very important for success of our endeavors. So we'll proceed further. B. Subbarao Prabhuji, regarding the family lineage of King Priyavrat, how the daughters of Daksha are related, I am still checking. I will come back to you on this. Hare Krishna.
Okay, Baba.
Hare Krishna. So we'll start with the next verse. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Yeah. So let's recite from here. All of you are able to view the screen, Prabhuji's, Mataji's?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, fine. Chandamsi akamasya cha yasya kaman.
Chandamsi
Shanti akamasya cha yasya kaman.
Duduhur ajahurur atho balim rupaha.
Dudhur Ajar
Durhuhu ajahura atlabalim nrupaha.
Pratyanchita yudhi dharmena vipra.
Pradyanchita
Yudhi dharmena vipraha.
Yada shisham sastham sham paretya.
Yeda
Yada
Shisham
ashisham shasham ansham paretya.
Satya
Usha Dayavati Mataji, Hare Krishna. You want to read?
Yeah, shall I read, Prabhuji?
Yes,
Or
yes.
if
Mataji.
anyone wants to read, those who have not read, they can also take over.
Any other Prabhujis Mataji would like to read also?
Who
Hare
have not
Krishna.
read that.
Okay, Chitra Mohini Mataji, Hare Krishna. Please proceed.
Shloka Prabhuji?
The translation.
Translation. Okay, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Translation. Although King Gaya had no Prabhuji, this thing is coming.
Okay, hang on. Is it better now?
Now I can move this. Although King Gaya had no personal desire for sense gratification, all his desires were fulfilled by virtue of his performance of Vedic rituals. All the kings with whom Maharaja Gaya had to fight were forced to fight on religious principles. They were very satisfied with his fighting, and they would present all kinds of gifts to him. Similarly, all the Brahmins in his kingdom were very satisfied with King Gaya's munificent charities. Consequently, the Brahmanas contributed a sixth of their pious.
Highest activities.
Where
On the left hand side top. Pious activities. Okay, no worries. I will continue. All of you are able to view the screen properly?
I can see
Yes,
this.
Prabhuji. Yes,
Yes.
Prabhuji.
Okay.
Yeah.
So all the Brahmanas, yeah.
Show me.
Shall I proceed?
Yes, please proceed,
Shall
Mataji.
I proceed, Prabhuji?
Okay, I'll proceed. Don't worry.
Consequently, the
Yeah,
Brahmanas
read.
contributed a sixth of their pious activities for King Gaya's benefit in the next life. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki Jai. As a Kshatriya or emperor, Maharaja Gaya sometimes had to fight with subordinate kings to maintain his government, but the subordinate kings were not dissatisfied with him because they knew that he fought for religious principles. Consequently, they accepted their subordination and offered all kinds of gifts to him. Similarly, the Brahmanas who performed Vedic rituals were so satisfied with the king that they very readily agreed to part with a sixth of their pious activities for his benefit in the next life. Thus, the Brahmanas and Kshatriyas were all satisfied with Maharaja Gaya because of his proper administration. In other words, Maharaja Gaya was satisfied the Kshatriya kings by his fighting and satisfied the Brahmanas by his charities. The Vaishyas were also encouraged by kind words and affectionate dealings, and due to Maharaja Gaya's constant sacrifices, the Shudras were satisfied by sumptuous food and charity. In this way, Maharaja Gaya kept all the citizens very satisfied. When Brahmanas and saintly persons are honored, they part with their pious activities, giving them to those who honor them and render them service. Therefore, as stated in Bhagavad Gita 4.34, Tatvitti Pranipatena Pariparishnena Sevaya. One should try to approach a spiritual master submissively and render service unto him. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So yesterday we discussed that how it is the responsibility of the king to properly protect the citizens and not just protect them, but also make sure that they have an environment where they can prosper both materially, they are well taken care of, and then they pursue the path of spiritual advancement. So a king is like a father figure for all the subjects. And if that protection is not given, then the king is liable to accept 1/6 of the impious credits, the papa karma of all the subjects that he is ruling. But here we also see the positive side of it. If the king is ruling the kingdom based on the religious principles, then the king is also entitled to receive 1/6 of the pious credits, which all the brahmanas and saintly persons, whatever are the positive credits for the subjects, 1/6 of them, the king is entitled to accept them, receive them, provided he serves all of them very, very properly. So it's one very important point comes out of this is many a times we approach a devotee who are closer to us, Prabhujis, Matajis, and we beg for their blessings. We beg for their mercy, which is definitely good. We should do that. But proper way to receive the blessings of a Vaishnava as per Srimad Bhagavatam is if we serve them sincerely, if we please the soul within, the blessings would automatically flow. Probably if we ask a devotee to pray for us as a goodwill gesture, they will pray and Krishna will accept those prayers, etc. However, if we sincerely serve a great soul, then automatically those blessings from the Supreme Lord will come without any separate endeavor. We don't even have to ask if we are serving menially and pleasing a devotee in this particular way. In fact, in the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, in the second chapter, there is that famous verse. Shushu Satadhanasya Vasudeva Katha Suya Syan Mahat Sevayan Vipra Punya Shavana Kirtana. That if we serve the great souls, automatically the test for hearing about the Supreme Lord will develop, and thus the doors to the liberations will automatically open for a person who has sincerely served and pleased the Vaishnavas. So, this is the sure short way to please the Supreme Lord if we please his devotees. We don't have to separately ask them to grant their mercy. It will automatically be granted if we serve them properly. And here we see that King Gaya being in such an exalted position that it is very difficult to please all different classes of personalities in a given society. But King Gaya was so expert that all the four divisions of the Varnashram system, the social divisions, the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras, all of them were very well taken care of, and they used to profusely grant their blessings to King Gaya. And we will see the effect of these blessings, how the authorities of this universal administration, the Devatas, and ultimately the Supreme Lord Vishnu himself was very pleased with King Gaya. So it will come in the subsequent verses. We proceed. यस्याध्वरे भगवान् अध्वरात्मा मघो निमाद्यति उरुसोमपीठे श्रद्धा विशुद्धा चल भक्ति योग समर्पितेभ्य फलम् आजहार.
Samar
Jahara.
Hare Krishna. Abir Subbarao Prabhuji, you can read, Prabhuji. You can unmute Subbarao Prabhuji.
Danda Pranam Prabhuji. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta
Hare
Swami
Krishna.
Srila Prabhupada. Jai Srila Prabhupada Ki. In Maharaja Gaya's sacrifices, there was a great supply of intoxicant known as Soma. King Indra used to come and become intoxicated by drinking large quantities of Soma Rasa. Also, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Vishnu, the Yajna Purusha, also came and personally accepted all the sacrifices offered unto him with pure and firm devotion in the sacrificial arena. Purport? Shall I read Prabhuji purport also?
Yeah, please proceed.
Purport by Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Maharaja Gaya was so perfect that he satisfied all the demigods who were headed by the heavenly King Indra. Lord Vishnu himself also personally came to the sacrificial arena to accept the offerings. Although Maharaja Gaya did not want them, he received all the blessings of the demigods and the Supreme Lord himself. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. So we see it is not mandatory for Lord Vishnu to personally appear in the sacrificial arena like it is for the devatas. If the sacrifice is performed in a proper order with proper following of the rules and all, then the devatas, they do come to accept their portion of the offering. Like here it is mentioned, King Indra used to come to accept the intoxicant somaras that was offered as part of Maharaj Gaya's sacrifices. But we see Lord Vishnu would only appear when he is completely pleased with that personality. Like we saw even in the 100th Ashwamedh Yajna that was being conducted by Maharaj Prutu, and the yajna was even half done and was stopped midway through at the uh, instruction of Lord Brahma. We see that Lord Vishnu had appeared there as well. So Lord Vishnu would only appear when the performer of the sacrifice is qualified from the devotional service point of view and has really satisfied the Lord out of uh, out of their devotional qualities. We also see subsequently in the case of Prachetas, whose glorious history we studied in the previous canto, Canto 4 of Srimad Bhagavatam, that Prachetas, when they were performing devotional service, firstly seeing their unity and cooperation amongst each other, we see Lord Shiva was greatly pleased and he taught them Rudra Gita. And subsequently, when they performed the devotional service based on the teachings of Lord Shiva, they did attain the audience, personal audience of Lord Vishnu. So it is not mandatory for Lord Krishna or Lord Vishnu to appear provided a person follows ABC criteria, but he is Swarat. He would only appear when he is pleased with the devotion of his devotees. So we proceed. I will proceed directly with the English translation.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna,
Yes,
Prabhuji.
Mataji.
I'm not able to understand this. Although Maharaja Gaya did not want them, he received all the blessings of the demigods and the Supreme Lord himself. That means he doesn't want the blessings of the demigods?
That means he did not conduct the sacrifice for that specific purpose of receiving the Devata's blessings. So he was performing it just for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord as the devotee of the Lord, but he did not explicitly ask for the favors of the Devatas as a result of this sacrifice. So it was not a fruitive sacrifice, it was based on his devotion to the Lord. Is that all right, Mataji?
Yeah, because he says even the Supreme Lord himself.
Yeah, so that is also definitely as per the pure devotional service principles that many a times a devotee, he worships the Supreme Lord without any expectation of any return for his devotional service. So Maharaj Gaya also did not expect any returns for himself, any favors as such.
Maybe
In fact,
Punya? Maybe Punya?
not even Punya. He was a pure devotee based on the description here. Like, just to give one example, similar example on these lines, if we see the prayers of Prahlad Maharaj to Narsingadev, when Narsingadev offered benediction, not offered, he wanted Prahlad to ask for a benediction. Prahlad Maharaj refused, saying that I am not a Vanika. Vanika means a merchant, that if I offer my devotion to you and you give me your favors, then it will be like give and take, it will be like a business. So I am not a merchant, Vanika, that I give you devotional service, I render devotional service and you give me favors, oh my Lord. And finally, Narsingadev literally pleaded with Prahlad Maharaj that not for your benefit, for my pleasure, you ask something. And finally, he asked for his father's liberation. So these are devotees of the highest stature that who don't want to ask anything for their own self. And here also we see Maharaj Gaya is not wanting anything for himself in return for the sacrifices. Is that all right, Mataji?
Okay. Thank you,
Great.
Prabhuji. Thank you.
So, B. Subbarao Prabhuji, please continue with the translation.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. When the Supreme Lord is pleased by a
Hare
person's
Krishna.
actions, when the Supreme Lord is pleased by a person's actions, automatically all the demigods, human beings, animals, birds, bees, creepers, trees, grass, and all other living entities, beginning with Lord Brahma, are pleased. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is the super soul of everyone, and he is by nature fully pleased. Nonetheless, he came to the arena of Maharaja Gaya and said, I am fully pleased. Purport? Gayad Gayantyam.
No,
Okay.
sorry. On the
Yes,
left
it is
side.
explicitly stated herein that simply by satisfying the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one satisfies the demigods and all other living entities without differentiation. If one pours water on the root of a tree, all the branches, twigs, flowers, and leaves are nourished. Although the Supreme Lord is self-satisfied, he was so pleased with the behavior of Maharaja Gaya that he personally came to the sacrificial arena and said, I am fully satisfied. Who can compare to Maharaja Gaya? Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna.
Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So we see in the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, when Krishna is speaking with Uddhava and Maitreya Maharshi is also present. One of the ways of rendering devotional service to him, Lord Krishna mentions, is to render service for the upliftment for all his part and parcels, the subjects, the living entities, people in general, and the all other living entities also in general. So Maharaj Gaya, in his capacity as a religious king for the kingdom, he served all the subjects so nicely, and subsequently his sacrifices, we see the devatas as well as the Supreme Lord, they are also greatly pleased, and they are appearing on their own accord, on their own sweet will, to receive the sacrificial offerings and to express their pleasure with the conduct of of King Gaya's administration. So in the verse, or as well as in the purport, Srila Prabhupada does point out to another famous verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, where he mentions that if one pours water on the root of a tree, all the branches, twigs, flowers, and leaves are nourished. So this is a very famous verse from the 4th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Yatha taror mula nishechanena trupyanti tat skanda bhujopashaka. Prano paharashcha yatendriyanam tathaiva sarvar hanam achyutecha. So here it is mentioned that if we water the root of a tree, it automatically nourishes, it automatically energizes the different parts, including the trunk, branches, twigs, and everything else. Or another example is given, just like supplying food to the stomach, it enlivens all the senses, all the limbs of the body. Similarly, by our actions, if we satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then it automatically satisfies all his parts and parcels, including the Devatas who are the administrators of this universal affairs. So it is very important for a devotee to always keep this as the back of our mind. In fact, the other is not necessarily true. In as part of the Bhakti Vaibhav, we are currently discussing about Lord Krishna's departure and the Pandavas retiring after that. And in that section, Srila Prabhupada writes that it is not necessary for the worshippers of the Devatas that the Supreme Lord would necessarily be satisfied. And Prabhupada gives the example of Ravana. Ravana and similar demoniac personalities like him, including Kamsa, Jarasandha, and so on and so forth. Many of these personalities, they were greatly pleasing the Devatas because of their austerities and because of their sacrifices specifically directed towards pleasing a Devata. But they in turn did not please the Supreme Lord. Neither the Supreme Lord protected them. He was not happy with them. But we see the reverse is true. Those who are devotees of the Supreme Lord, they automatically please all the Devatas based on this principle that is given in Srimad Bhagavatam. And there are so many examples of this. Like one example we are just seeing of Maharaj Gaya. There is also example of another great devotees, like example comes that of Sanatan Goswami, who used to reside in Govardhan, and Lord Shiva personally sought his association. And when there was a time when Sanatan Goswami was inconvenienced because of the presence of the mosquitoes and wanted to leave that place, Lord Shiva personally arranged for the mosquitoes to go away from that place and requested Sanatan Goswami in the form of a Brahmana. By coming in the form, in the disguise as a Brahmana, Lord Shiva requested Sanatan Goswami to please continue to stay in that place, and he relished Sanatan Goswami's association. So Prabhupada mentions the reverse is definitely true. If we properly render devotional service and please Lord Krishna, all other authorities of the universal affairs, as well as the living entities as well, those who are near and dear ones to us, I have personally observed as well that many a times, because of our worldly responsibility, sometimes we are not able to give proper time and attention to some of our near and dear ones who we should be giving. Of course, we should not be neglecting them for sure. But if somehow or other we are sincere in our rendering of devotional service, Krishna as a Paramatma will make sure that there is no misunderstanding, there is no miscommunication, and all the Jivatmas, they do remain satisfied with us, and there are no separate endeavors that are needed to individually satisfy them. So let me see. I had planned to complete this chapter. Is it okay, Prabhuji, if we take 5 minutes, or if we can take tomorrow
Please,
also?
please
Up to
take
you.
Prabhuji. No, Prabhu. Please
Okay.
complete,
Okay.
Prabhu.
Okay.
Hare Krishna.
Okay. Hare Krishna. So I will request maybe another devotee to read through directly the translation. Hare Krishna Mataji, Galaxy S9. You can unmute and you
Hare
can
Krishna.
read. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Pranams Prabhuji. Translation.
Dandavats.
In the womb of Gayanti, Maharaja Gaya begot 3 sons named Chitraratha, Sugati, and Avardhana. In the womb of his wife, Purna, Sitrata begot a son named Samrat. The wife of Samrat was Utkala, and in her womb, Samrat begot a son named Marichi. In the womb of his wife Bindumati, Marichi begot a son named Bindu. In the womb of his wife Saraga, Bindu begot a son named Madhu. In the womb of his wife named Sumana, Madhu begot a son of named Viravrita. In the womb of his wife Bhoja, Viravrita begot two sons named Manthu and Pramanantu. In the womb of his wife Satya, Manthu begot a son named Bhavuna, and in the womb of his wife Dusana, Bhavuna begot a son named Divasta. In the womb of his wife Virochana, Vasta begot a son named Viraja. The wife of Viraja was Vishushi, and in her womb Viraja begot a 100 son and one daughter. Of all these sons, the sons named Satyajit was predominant. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you very much.
Sorry, apologies, Mataji. I was on mute. Thank you very much. You can continue to read the translation, Mataji. There is a famous verse.
There is a famous verse about King Viraja. Because of its high qualities and wide fame, King Viraja became the jewel of the dynasty of King Priyavarta, just as Lord Vishnu is by his daughter, by his transcendental potency, decorates and blesses the demigods. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Purport. Within a garden, a flowering tree attains a good reputation because of its fragrant flowers. Similarly, if there is a famous man in a family, he is compared to a fragrant flower in a forest. Because of him, an entire family can become famous in history. Because Lord Krishna took birth in the Yadu dynasty, and the Yadvas have remained famous for all time. Because of King Viraja's appearance, the family of Maharaja Priyavrata has remained famous for all time. Thus, end of the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 5th canto, 15th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled The Glories of the Descendants of King Priyavrata. Thank you very much, so much.
Thank you.
Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
So we see, like yesterday I was reading as part of the regular reading, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he talks about a family begetting a child who is a great devotee of the Lord. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur mentions that if such a child is a pure devotee of the Lord, then 100 generations up and down, they will be elevated. Now, we should not take it the other way. That means we won't do anything and somehow our descendants will become a devotee and we will be benefited. Not that simple. He mentions they will be elevated. Elevated means they will get a place and circumstances to proceed with their devotional service, devotional progress very, very fast. They will be put in a very favorable situation to attain perfection. And if the child born is a Madhyama Adhikari, he is a devotee, but not a pure devotee, then he mentions something like 10 or 20, 21, whatever, a number less than 100, which will be elevated. And he mentions even if a child born is a neophyte devotee, that means who has just begun his devotional service, begun to chant and everything, and not yet perfected his life, still minimum 3 generations of the ancestors, they will be elevated in their own progress towards Lord Krishna. So this is the glory of having a child who takes to devotional service. But as for ourselves, we should take it as a responsibility on our own shoulders, that the love and care we can show for our grandpa, grandma, and for our ancestors is by practicing devotional service very, very nicely, so that by our sincere prayers and rendering of devotional service, Krishna grants them a favorable destination in their progress towards his lotus feet. And the opposite is also true, that although in general the karma is liable to the person who has done a wrong activity, but in case of a major discrepancy in terms of performance of one's activities, if one commits a big offense, Prabhupada mentioned that sometimes the village or the town or the particular land or the particular nation can also suffer based on the gravity of that offense. For example, we see in the case of Shringi, the son of Shamika Rishi, when he immaturely gave punishment to Maharaj Parikshit, which was not equivalent to the mistake that Parikshit Maharaj had done. We see what was the effect. Parikshit Maharaj, as a great devotee of the Lord, he went back home, back to Godhead. But this immature behavior of Shringi, it caused the degradation of the whole Brahmana uh, race in Kali Yuga. It is mentioned in the Bhagavatam that the degradation of the Brahmanas, of course, it is the arrangement of the Lord as part of the progress of the Kali Yuga. But Shringi did become an instrument in that degradation by his immature act of punishing the king without understanding what is the right punishment for that discrepancy from Maharaj Parikshit's side. And Bhagavatam mentions that even Shringi's own father, Shamika Rishi, he was also repentant on the actions of his immature son. He was not happy with what Shringi had done. And we see that the subjects also suffered because of the sudden departure of such a great loving fatherly king as Maharaj Parikshit. So both ways it is true. If a devotee is born, the family, the village, the town, the particular place, or the whole world, based on the stature of that devotee, it does benefit. Similarly, the offenses based on the gravity, they also carry demerits. With this, we will conclude this very wonderful chapter, the glories of the descendants of King Priyavrat. And we will open the discussion to the floor. If devotees have any questions, comments, or any thoughts to share on this particular topic. Hare Krishna. We learned quite a few important principles. How, by sincerely serving the part and parcels of the Lord, it is a very important way to serve the Supreme Lord. Of course, that service cannot be done independently. Otherwise, we have so many social workers and philanthropists who are trying to serve the living entities, the humanity. But their service is not keeping Krishna in the center. They don't serve a human as a part and parcel of the Lord, thinking of it as service to the Supreme Lord. They try to serve the mostly the bodies of the human beings and grant them pleasure. And as a result, the service remains on the physical, on the material platform. It doesn't derive much spiritual benefit. But if we render service to the part and parcels, considering them as the children of the Lord, that my wife is before my wife, she is the child of Lord Krishna. My own child, before being the child of mine, she is the child of Lord Krishna. If we serve in that particular mood, then it would definitely derive lot of spiritual credits. So, anyone wants to share any thoughts? Prabhuji's, Mataji's? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. I just want to share one incident, Prabhuji, just like you told, na, if sometimes a devotee lose hopes, but Krishna makes an arrangement that he never do that. Not hopes, but sometimes it so happens that the people speak something wrong. Yesterday, we encountered one beautiful incident. I was purchasing something at wood pressed oil or something. So that man is actually, he's a follower of Bible, right? So he was discussing. I said, no, God is definitely going to come and he's going to take care. Yes, he's only one. He's going to come. And I'm like, yes, definitely. So when in Bhagavad, but the Bhagavad Gita is all wrong. Matlab, not for after 4 lakh years he's going to come now. I don't know, matlab hamare Bhagwan ne, he has given a proper uh, verdict that he's going to do that, and the same way the things are happening. Bolte no, he's going to come now. तो मैंने बोलता God decide नहीं करता. तो मैंने बोला you are deciding. Something like that happened. And I felt really bad when I came home. I was thinking, what type of people are there in this world? They are not. I'm accepting that you are following God, and yes, God is one or something. But they always start to condemn the religion or something like that. In the evening, me and my husband, we went for purchasing few things for some wedding. So we went to a shop, and there we were. He don't even know that we are Krishna devotees. So I was just speaking to her, and maybe Krishna wants this sari for her. Maybe I just let us purchase this. And you know what? When we were leaving that shop, that uncle, he might be 80, 82 years. He came to us and he offered one gesture of respect to us, a cloth. And he said, just because you said the
Right.
name of Lord, take this. And we again went to another shop. We purchased some bangles. And again, the lady said, yeah, you seems to be a Krishna devotee. Take this. What I just don't want to say about this incident, but you know what I felt like? The people are there who are speaking wrong, but at the same time, Krishna is trying to make us happy also if we are not happy in one way or the other gestures. That is what I just felt like, Prabhuji, for sharing, because that was a
Thank,
beautiful incident for me.
thank you for sharing, Shakti Mataji. And even in the first instance that you mentioned, where the person had his own conception, at least one thing is good, that he is believer in presence of God. See, every jiva soul in this world is a traveler on the path back home, back to Godhead. Based on their faith, they will take some time. And Krishna will decide how that progress should be made. So we should be happy that at least he may be on a path which is slow, but at least he is on the right path, and we can pray that sometime in future he may come on the faster lane so that his progress can be quicker, but he's still better than so many others who are atheists, who are non-believers, right? So no worries, they have their conception. At least ask them to worship God based on their conception, and gradually Krishna will grant them his blessings as well. And as you definitely mentioned, there are other great souls who are pleased seeing devotees and they want to render service in some way or other to the devotees. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. In this context, I would like to add this thing. Like, without Krishna's permission, Jesus Christ or whoever have come to the world, they wouldn't have come now without his permission. He's a
Yeah, so Srila Prabhupada specifically mentions about these personalities like Lord Jesus Christ, that all these are Shaktiavesh avatar, that means they are empowered personalities who have come for a very specific purpose of uplifting the fallen souls. So definitely what to speak of Krishna's permission, it is Krishna's arrangement to uplift the fallen souls who were existing at that particular time. And that's why they had to preach in a way that is understandable to the people of that particular time. So some of those teachings, it may sound bit odd to us, but it was necessary and in the context of fallen condition of people at that time. So definitely they have appeared as part of Krishna's plan, no doubt.
maybe the people's. I mean, they are very clear in their avatar, but only the people are making it.
Followers,
Only the
somewhere.
followers are making it.
Yes.
What do you call confused state, and they have their own conception and they implement that, and that is why we get annoyed because
But we should always remember that Krishna is not annoyed. He is patient.
yeah, that's
He's
right.
supporting all living entities, so we have to also be patient.
Yeah,
If we
that's right.
imagine if Krishna starts pushing all the conditioned souls, everybody will be so confused and so stressed. So he doesn't push. He gives living entities own space and time to come to him the way they want to progress, like at their own speed. So similarly, we also have to be patient. Hare
Yeah.
Krishna.
The only thing is we have to ask for patience. Nonetheless, the
Yes,
other things with patience.
yes.
Hare
And
Krishna.
I just realized today is a very special day. Today is Ekadashi, because I wanted to show all of you the altar and the deities, but the wife has have taken the deities off the altar for their bathing. So maybe tomorrow we can see. So based on that, I recollected that today is Ekadashi. So wish you all a very happy Ekadashi and blissful chanting of the holy names. Hare Krishna.
Thank
I
you,
think for us
Prabhuji.
tomorrow, I think. Hare Krishna.